Welcome to Eat Sleep Nerd, a podcast where you can check out, go AFK, and relax with us as we discuss all things nerd. Comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and anything else that gets geeks more worked up than James Cameron pounding out Avatar sequels.
Welcome to episode number 36. I am your dorky DJ, Corey Winter, and as always, I am joined by my nerdy brother, Josh Winter, and our geeky friends, Jason Summer and Christian James. In this episode, we hold a funeral for Henry Cavill's time as Superman.
Oh.
Speaking of Cavill, Amazon has bought the rights to a Warhammer 40k television series produced by and starring Henry Cavill. Plus, we review RRR and Avatar: The Way of Water. And as always, before we get into the show, do not forget to share this show with everyone. Jason, Josh, Christian, how you guys doing?
Splendid.
Splendid. That's the new one. I like that.
Splendiferous.
Splendid.
I'm
splendid.
divine.
You're
No.
Oh. Jason, how are you?
I'm pretty disillusioned.
Disillusioned.
Disaffected.
Disassociated.
Disingenuous.
No. I'm pretty genuine. The whole thing with the whole Superman thing and Henry Cavill, it has really bummed me out. Like, seriously bummed me out. I know the news shouldn't be surprising, but
But at the same time,
they
it
finally
is,
just put.
though.
It's very surprising.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, they finally put like the final nail in that coffin, and they are not resurrecting him using the mother box. He's not.
No.
He's not coming up out of that one.
And they were using like a pneumatic nail gun, too. Like, it's not just we like lightly hammered in.
I believe there was some welding involved on that, and
A lot of rivets in there.
it's riveting. So I'm just kind of like, this week has been rough for me wanting to participate in the geek world and geek culture.
Well,
It's going to be a roller coaster of an episode.
Yeah, it's going to be
Some of the deepest valleys and the highest peaks.
Right. Yeah, you're going to see the less
Enthused.
jovial side of.
well, let me see if I
this
can
one.
jovial you up. No, let me see if I can energize you.
Ain't no mountain high and no valley low.
So
Yeah.
let's go through our what we've been geeking out on this week. Because
Right.
Jason, it sounds like you have not been geeking out on anything this week.
Right.
But is there anything that got your spirits up?
I watched A Christmas Story Christmas.
Okay.
That is the sequel to A Christmas Story, right?
Right, which
Yes.
was absolutely freaking delightful. I did enjoy that.
See, that was going to be my question because we've talked before. Me and Christian love that movie,
Yes.
but I
Yeah.
have not watched the sequel yet.
There was one part in there where I laughed so hard, and it's actually my favorite of the two now. Like, it was- yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So you have to, and one thing that you have to remember about the original is that if you look at it, it's not really a high quality production.
No.
It's almost like a made for TV production.
I think it literally was made for TV.
Yeah, it may have been. Yeah, but it was still.
No,
like,
really, I think it
there
was. Yeah.
But it was built on, like, the whole movie was about nostalgia and remembering. And people were like, well, this thing's like totally nostalgia related for the new movie. I'm like, well, yeah,
That's the
what
point.
it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point. So anyway, it was just, I really, really enjoyed it. So that was a high point. I'll give it that. I started a couple games. I downloaded the new Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core.
Nice.
Which is okay. I think they're built in. They've kind of hoping that the carryover from Final Fantasy VII Remake will be enough. It's not. It doesn't have the same quality, but it has the same look. So it's a little disappointing so far. But I'll keep it up. Started playing the Agatha Christie ABC Murder.
All right.
Which is kind of fun. And I can't get past a part in Guardians of the Galaxy. I keep getting my butt whooped.
Which part?
So that's,
Which part?
it's
I
the
got you.
part where, you're trying to get off the ship when everybody joins the cult.
Oh, okay,
And-
okay. We'll
Yeah,
touch base after this
and
recording, but I got you.
Yeah. So I can't, I keep getting my butt whipped. So anyway, that's what I've been doing. I've been getting my butt whipped, crying in my Cheerios over Henry Cavill Superman, and just watching my DC universe just slowly die.
Well, all right.
How are you guys doing?
The good news is it's basically flatline now, so it's all uphill. Wait.
That's even better. Great. You mean like uphill, like it's going to get better, or uphill we have to trudge?
You want to be at the top of the hill, right?
Well, yeah, but uphill is like, are we talking like moving forward into a positive direction, like up and to the right? Or are we talking about
No, slightly to the left.
To the left.
Or are we talking about like we have to trudge like it's all uphill in the snow both ways?
It's
Is that
all
what
uphill.
you say?
I mean, at this
both is
point,
what
it's
you're
anyone's guess. Like, who knows?
It's like
Right.
one of those hills where you
Yeah.
don't realize it's a hill.
Until your
Oh.
calves are just on fire.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, Josh, what have you been doing this week?
So Philip, my little one, has started getting into superheroes, which is awesome because that was a phase I kept waiting for with Harrison, and I just don't know if it's going to happen. But we've been going through Justice League, the animated series,
Nice.
and I noticed something really, really neat. Grant Morrison. Do we know about Grant Morrison? So
Who's
Grant Morrison is one of the most prolific comic book writers of all time. He did V for Vendetta. He did The Watchmen. He did all that fun stuff. But what he's become notorious for is thinking that adaptations of his work are absolute garbage. And it's so bad that he doesn't even want the money from the adaptation, and he doesn't want his name on it. Like, at all. However, there is an episode of Justice League, the animated series, for the man who has everything, which is where it's Superman's birthday and Batman and Wonder Woman go to the Fortress of Solitude to help celebrate his birthday. That is one of the most famous individual issues of Superman comics, and Grant Morrison wrote it. And he thought that adaptation, that 20-minute Cartoon Network adaptation of his work was so perfect, it is the only piece of DC Comics media to come out in the last 30 years that has his name on it.
Nice.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So I thought that was really neat because I was watching the credits and I was like, it's Grant Morrison. He never puts his name on stuff. And I looked up and that's what it is. That is the only thing in the last 30 years that he thinks has been any good as far as an adaptation of his work goes.
Wow.
And little Philip likes it.
Yeah, and Little Phil likes it.
All right. Well, good. You guys good taste.
Yeah.
He's also been watching that Spider-Man cartoon.
Yes.
I love that he likes that.
On Disney Plus. Spidey and Friends,
Yeah.
I think is what it is.
Why is it always in Friends?
Right? It's like Disney's thing.
It's like how you know it's for kids.
That's true.
What's really weird is they're all like 10 years old, and even the bad guys call him Spidey because, like, as soon as you call him Spider-Man, like, no one would believe that he's a man. Like, he talks like this. Like, I mean, it's like he's obviously a child.
And they consistently fight Doc Ock.
Who is a
like-
woman.
Like,
It's a very odd adaptation.
like every other
but it's
episode, she's the
fun.
villain.
But yeah, like it's it's going to be Doc Ock, like every time.
All right. Hell yeah.
All right. Christian, what about you?
Well, when I have time off work, I usually get into movies.
Yep.
And so either I'll try to find a new one or get back into some old ones.
Something you've watched like 20 times.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I got back into Captain America, The Winter Soldier.
Nice.
It's
Nice.
just an excellent movie.
so good.
Every watch.
Still top 3 in the Marvel universe.
Oh,
Probably-
yeah.
Probably number
for
one
sure.
for me. Yeah.
Like, and I kept thinking through the movie, and I'm like, okay, I can't remember of the time when I was baffled seeing it the first time. Like, oh my god, that's Bucky.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Because you can see, like, within the movie, I had my TV on like movie mode, so it kind of like brightened some of the dark spots in
Yeah.
it. And when he's sitting down in the kitchen talking to the guy, the brightness was too high, and the darkness is supposed to like hide his mouth, but just as his eyes.
Yeah.
You can totally just see his face. And I was like, oh, well, that kinda
That's
ruined
clearly
it.
Sebastian's name.
yeah, clearly. But then I got into a new movie, Amsterdam.
Okay.
It's like kind of like a
Christian Bale?
nonfiction movie. Yeah, Christian Bale,
Okay.
Margot Robbie, and
Mhm.
John David Washington. I think that's his name.
It's a very odd collection of people.
Yeah. Oh, actually, Taylor Swift's in this movie.
Yeah.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
A collection of other people. I think like the producers just walked down a hallway one day. We're just like, hey, come over here and be in this movie real fast. Because I was scratching my forehead and I was like, why is Taylor Swift in this movie?
Yeah.
Like, she's someone that's, kind of like, but why?
Yeah.
But then something happens to her and I'm like, oh, okay, I can deal with that.
Yeah.
But you just have to see it to see what happened to her, because it's probably the most perfect thing to like cameo and then exit a movie.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So was it good?
Oh yeah, it was very good.
Okay.
Very good. Very
It's on
good.
my list. I just didn't know if I needed to like prioritize it.
I mean, depending on what else you have in that list.
Not much.
Oh, there's a great cast in this.
Oh yeah, great
Yeah,
acting.
wow.
All the way around.
Heavy hitters.
I was engaged the entire time.
Pretty much any time it's Christian Bale, you know it's going to be pretty good. It's definitely not going to be
Yeah, Robert-
bad.
Yeah.
Thor, Love, and Thunder.
Robert De
And who was
Niro.
the best part?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's true.
there you go.
That's true. All right.
What about you, Corey?
Well, Jason, I'm going to lift your spirits. But first, hold on. So I did 2 things this week. The first one was watched the first 2 episodes of the new National Treasure Edge of History series on Disney Plus.
Gross.
And, that was going to be my initial reaction too, because it didn't have Nick Cage and like he was that movie. But honestly, it's not bad. It's definitely more younger audience friendly. It's like a lot of the writing is a little bit more convenient. Like, oh, like they didn't even try to make that make sense.
Gross.
But for the most part, it's actually pretty cool. And they did actually tie it into the movies, like the FBI agent from the first 2 movies. He was in this, Sandusky. But the lead actress, she's actually like, she's definitely going to be a big actress in Hollywood because she is like carrying the show. And I'm going to try to pronounce her name. Lizette Oliveira. I don't know, she's a brand new actress, but she's killing it. So she's definitely carrying the show. But it's definitely fun. I'll keep watching it. National Treasure, Edge of History on Disney Plus.
Pay us, Disney.
But the big thing I was doing this week was playing the new High on Life video game. And it just hit Xbox Game Pass this past week. So it is free to play if you have Game Pass. But this is the new game from Squanch Games, which is the video game development studio from the Rick and Morty creator.
Oh, okay. I thought I was making a nonsensical reference, but no, it
I mean,
is
yeah.
Squanchy.
I get it.
Yeah.
Squanch.
Okay.
And he does do a lot of the voices in this video game, so it's very much a Rick and Morty video game without Rick and Morty. Like the humor,
Sold.
I definitely think this is a game that Josh will like. It is a first person shooter, but like that's not really the emphasis. It's more just on the characters and the writing, and the environments. But the selling point of this game is that the idea is that Earth is invaded by aliens, and your guns that you acquire throughout the game to defeat these aliens that destroyed Earth, essentially, all of your weapons talk and they have personalities. It's like your gun is essentially an alien itself. And so the very first gun you get is actually voiced by what's his name? The creator of Rick and
Justin
Morty.
Roiland.
Yes, and he sounds like Morty. So like the gun you're playing with for like a majority of the game sounds like Morty from Rick and Morty.
Quit pulling my trigger.
So it's
Oh, geez.
it's definitely not for kids. Like it's a very adult themed game. And I'm going to play a couple of clips for our audience that actually are PG. I want to lighten Jason's spirits here.
What are you doing? Come on, he's just a kid. Don't shoot him.
Oh, you don't want to shoot me just 'cause your gun said not to, just 'cause you're your little gun. Oh, but look how shootable I
I
look.
am not shooting a kid.
Go ahead, dude. Oh, you shot me, I'm dead.
All right, there. Are you happy now? Well, I didn't think we'd be allowed to kill him. Yeah, normally, killing children in games isn't allowed, but he's dead. We killed this kid. Are you happy now? We killed a kid. A kid is dead now. There goes our E for everybody rating. Another pipe? What the fuck? This is lazy. This is just lazy game development. This is lazy level design. I'm calling it out. Kotaku, Polygon, IGN, all of you. You gotta knock us down a couple points.
Yeah, so that's High on Life.
That's fun.
It's definitely a fun game. There was some times where it dragged a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it a score because I finished it. But I'm not gonna dive into like details or anything. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. It was a fun time. And all of the guns, like you get like 5 throughout the game. They're all voiced by different comedians. So like just the dialogue by itself is really fun. So yeah, highly recommend if you are an adult, but otherwise don't go play this game. It's bad. It's very bad.
I like that they made the knife Australian, which immediately made me think of Crocodile Dundee and the Bowie knife.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's not a knife. This. is a knife.
That's right. Exactly. Precisely that.
And it's going to carve out your anus.
Can we say anus on this podcast?
Yeah, it's the technical term.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Hashtag science.
All right. I don't know where this episode is going, but anyway. So production notes. Not too much is happening because we're winding down the year, but this week Knives Out, or I guess A Glass Onion Knives Out comes out this week. We will be talking about that one in our next episode number 37. We'll see what happens after the new year, but for the most part, this year is winding down.
Yeah, February and March are big months, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, January will be a little slow.
Anyway, do you guys want to get into our nerdy news? So, we're starting off
Let's just get it out of the way.
with our heavy topic.
Pull the band-aid.
Henry Cavill.
Every time I read this, I feel like I want to throw up.
Henry Cavill is officially, after being announced as officially returning as Superman, he's officially no longer returning as Superman. So I want to take a moment to give Henry Cavill his moment in the spotlight.
Should have layered it with the dumpster fire.
So, guys, help me out with this one. So, this past week, almost simultaneously, James Gunn and Henry Cavill took to Twitter and Instagram, respectively, to announce that there is a plan moving forward for a new Superman movie, a solo Superman movie that James Gunn is writing. But you're making so much noise.
I'm so sorry.
But it will not involve Henry Cavill. And Henry Cavill announced on his Instagram that he is officially hanging up his cape as Superman.
Threw a little shade at the studio while he was doing it. Anyone else catch that?
Oh, yeah.
After the studio asked me to announce my return in October.
Right. I think that he kept it so tempered. Says a lot
Professional.
about him. Yes. Professional. That's a good one. Yeah. That's probably the better word.
Yeah, I'd have said some stuff. I'd have thrown a temper tantrum.
I'm sure he has a PR guy. Just being like, you know what? You can't say that.
But no.
At the same time, though, he seems so chill all the time.
That's also
Like, it's
true.
actually hard to kind of imagine him genuinely angry.
That's why it works so well in Man of Steel.
Yeah, I was going to say the last time he got angry, he snapped General Zod's neck.
So reading Henry Cavill's, I'll get to James Gunn in a second. So Henry Cavill said, I just had a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran, and it's sad news, everyone. I will, after all, not be returning as Superman. After being told by the studio to announce my return back in October, prior to their hire, this news isn't the easiest, but that's life. The changing of the guard is something that happens. I respect that. James and Peter have a universe to build. I will wish them and all involved with the new universe the best of luck and the happiest of fortunes. For those who have been by my side through the years, we can mourn for a bit, but then we must remember Superman is still around. Everyone or everything he stands for still exists, and the examples he sets for us are still there. My turn to wear the cape has passed, but what Superman stands for never will. It's been a fun ride with you all. Onwards and upwards.
Very classy.
I was going to say, yeah, who thinks he would be a good Superman? Clearly a dumpster fire.
Right. God. I mean, what were they thinking when they brought him on board initially? Good Lord.
So once at the same time, James Gunn took to Twitter, like he does, and he said, Peter and I have a DC slate ready to go, which we couldn't be more over the moon about. We'll be able to share some exciting information about our first project at the beginning of the year. Among those on the slate is Superman. In the initial stages, our story will be focusing on an earlier part of Superman's life, so the character will not be played by Henry Cavill. I'll stop there for a second. So this is sounding like it's going to be during his early days at the newspaper. Like the sequel to Man of Steel would have been, right, where it sounds like James Gunn is picking up the story.
Mhm.
I feel like...
Well, especially since not one tweet later, someone asks him, so does that mean we're getting an origin story? And he says no.
Yeah, that's what I saw too.
So, in other words,
Like Henry Cavill is
Origin
still
story.
young.
I was going to say, it's not like Henry's in his 40s or anything.
He's pretty darn close, though.
He's late 30s.
He doesn't have his mustache.
He's like 38 or
So-
39.
If he shaves, he looks like a baby. Like, it's fine.
When I read this, I was thinking of one of the Superman storylines or comic lines when they released the New 52. And one of the Superman comics were he essentially, it was his first time out on his own, and he was kind of running around in like work boots and jeans and a cape and a t-shirt trying to be Superman, and he had just it was almost like he just graduated from college, or he's still in college,
Mhm.
So maybe that kind of approach, not still in Smallville, but certainly not, an established hero yet either. So maybe perhaps something like that.
Oh, you mean like how Zack Snyder was building a universe in which Superman becomes a symbol of hope instead of just starting out as a symbol of hope, and how we shot that series in the face right when he would have become the symbol of hope that everyone was looking for.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
I know.
I don't want character development.
So continuing James Gunn's thread, he said, "We just had a great meeting with Henry and we're big fans, and we talked about a number of exciting possibilities to work together in the future." At this point, is Henry Cavill ever going to want to work with WB again?
I would say no.
I
mean,
I wouldn't.
So
No.
here's the thing, though. He's developed this habit of getting burned so badly. Who's left? Like Amazon, which we'll get to that in a second. But
Yeah.
like
Sony.
ooh.
Eh.
Sony just needs to let their film studio die. And I say that as someone who was a big Sony fan.
Well,
for a long
actually,
time.
I'm glad you actually bring this up. Can you picture him as a certain Marvel character that is hairy, gruffy, and kind of mean?
Okay, but see,
You mean
Wolverine?
Wolverine?
Yeah, Wolverine.
Yeah, but okay, so like,
He's too
don't get me
tall.
wrong. Don't get me wrong. I love the idea of Henry Cavill basically being anybody. But one of my bucket list things for the MCU version of the X-Men is that Wolverine will actually be 4'10".
Yeah.
Like
I
he's
mean,
supposed to.
Was
be.
he is he 4'10"?
Yeah, he's pretty
Yeah.
short in the comics. Yeah.
Like he's supposed
Yeah,
to be
because I thought he
4'10".
was like 5'3". I may have been giving
Yeah.
a little.
Yeah, no, I mean like
Which-
he's basically Danny DeVito
Yeah.
size. Like canonically, Danny DeVito would be the perfect Wolverine. But the point is, and yeah, it I do think it has sometimes been recorded as like low fives. But the point is, he's closer to my height than he is to Henry Cavill's height.
Yeah.
Or Hugh Jackman's.
Yeah, let alone Hugh Jackman's height. So my bucket list for Henry Cavill in MCU would be Doctor Doom.
There you go. I'll take that.
That'd be
I'll take that.
excellent.
I saw somebody wanting to cast him as Hyperion.
So I do think at this point it would be unwise for him to be any Superman analog.
Yeah.
Like that's too on the nose. You know what I mean?
I like
So
that.
continuing James Gunn's thread, he says one more thing in this initial announcement.
Oh yeah, this.
He met with Ben yesterday. Speaking about Ben Affleck yesterday, precisely because he wants to direct, and we want him to direct. We just have to find the right project.
A Batman movie would be pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty
Sorry.
solid.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. He could write it, direct it, star in it.
Bring Kevin Smith on as a creative consultant.
Yeah,
I'm sure he owes him a few favors.
So, speaking of people writing and consulting,
Mhm.
there's one part of the James Gunn announcement that I am super nervous about. And that is he is the one writing the Superman reboot.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I like that. Like, it's okay because he's not directing it, and he said he doesn't want to direct it. But he has a certain sensibility that I'm not sure is going to mesh well with Superman.
keep in mind, this is the man that wrote the 2 live-action Scooby-Doo movies. Just keep that in mind.
Bear in mind, this is the man who wrote the 2 live-action Scooby-Doo.
What
Yeah.
point are you trying to make?
Yeah, I
Corey?
don't know.
Not-
Just let
The
him-
inflections were in the
make a
wrong
note.
spot.
So don't get me wrong. Like he is a very talented filmmaker, and if it is a James Gunn project that is supposed to feel like a James Gunn project, there's almost no one else I would rather have involved.
Maybe he's just doing like the first pass on it to like get the story points in it, and then he's going to have like another hiring team or writing team
Since it
come in.
establishes his universe or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm just worried that like we're gonna have a very poignant Superman moment, and then it's gonna be ruined by a fart joke or something.
Well, speaking of fart jokes, let's go ahead and go into this last little subtopic. So, obviously, this announcement is hinting at a hard reboot because in the previous episode of this podcast, we were talking about it's probably going to be like a little mid reboot, and maybe some people would stay, some people would not. But obviously, this is pointing to a much bigger reboot for the DC.
Yeah, if you're resetting
universe.
Superman,
What does this mean for Peacemaker?
I mean, it's got to go. It's
Yeah,
got to go.
does
It's
it?
tied directly to the Snyderverse. It has to go.
Exactly. They already, if you recall, they introduced part of the Justice League at the end of the series.
Yeah, and it was more or less the Snyder versions.
I ask because some sources, my trusty sources, are saying that people that we expect to go are gone, such as Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. But people that are staying are people that were tied to James Gunn projects, such as the people from the Suicide Squad movie, such as Margot Robbie. So
I just don't see that being true.
So
that would be too big of a mess. No,
but
I mean 100%. I would completely stop just everything DC. I would just never see another thing if that's how they were doing it. Like, if at this point, if you've committed to getting rid of Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck, Ezra Miller, which I think needed to go anyway. Like, if we are to that point, but you're going to keep your B and C and D list, quote unquote, heroes just because they were in your personal projects, I completely lose all faith in your judgment, your rationality.
Yeah,
that's very true.
But also, I want a season 2 of Peacemaker.
Well, I mean, I think that's already in the can, though. Like, hasn't that been filmed?
I don't know.
Like, I think that's going to fall into the same category as like Blue Beetle and whatever the heck else we're getting, sequels, Flash and stuff like that. Like, it's a done project. Go see it because it's going to be fun, but it's just not going to build towards the new universe.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing for me. Like, I feel like I have an unpopular opinion that I did not jive well with John Cena with Peacemaker.
Dude, Peacemaker was so good.
I mean, there were times when I was like, okay, I'm having a good time. But then, like, I used to be a really big wrestling fan, so all I see is John Cena.
But you don't see Peacemaker. You
not
just
Peacemaker
see John
at all.
Cena.
Yeah, just
okay,
John Cena being John Cena.
That's
and
fair.
so it really takes me out of it.
I had that issue with The Rock for a long time.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, I heard someone bring up Black Adam. Like, and The Rock just had two faces the entire movie.
It's 100% true.
Frowning, and then he smiled once at the end of the movie.
He didn't even do the eyebrow thing.
Yeah. What is that?
It's like, that's the thing that got you to stardom.
Exactly. Yeah. He did it all the way through Fast and Furious. Like, what's going on with that? I don't get it. But I did not drive with John Cena.
But no, that's all speculation. Obviously, if we've learned anything on this podcast, is that
if it doesn't come from if it doesn't come from John Cena, it doesn't mean anything.
Or James Cena.
Wrapping this up, so there have been back and forth reports that Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot's cameos in the Flash movie that's coming out next year, they have been removed, but maybe only one of them's been removed, but also maybe they're both still in. Who knows if Henry Cavill is actually going to make one more appearance in the Flash, but right now it seems like most people are saying no, he's not in the final cut, and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman may or may not be, but yet again,
I think they said they just kept like one of his legs in a shot. I don't know.
Well, the thing they keep saying is they don't want to tease a universe that's not going to come to fruition. But at this point, we know it's not coming to fruition. Just give me what you got.
At this point, I'm like hanging on to whatever they throw us. So like, if they give us one more Henry Cavill as Superman, I'll be happy.
I say just give us a small little cameo to like wrap it up. Just like, this is his final goodbye. Just give us that 5-second thing.
Better be sure.
It's like right at the end of the credits, he's like, goodbye, fans.
Yeah, just like
straight into the camera.
Right. Thank you.
So little game here, pop quiz. What did Henry Cavill get paid for his cameos in Black Adam and the now deleted, possibly scene in The Flash? And I'll go ahead and tell you, it was the same price for both cameos.
Nothing.
$2.4 million.
It was $250,000 for Black Adam, $250,000 for the Flash cameo. So $500,000 for a couple of takes.
Good for him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Get that WB money, son.
But also, this is WB Discovery dumpster fire at its best because they literally just threw away $500,000. So,
but thank God we canceled Batwoman or Girl or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
Got to pinch those pennies.
So we have talked a lot this year in this podcast about, is Henry Cavill coming back? Is the DC universe dead? Is the Snyderverse dead? Oh, Henry Cavill's back. He's going to have a whole other movie. No, he's not. He's not. So it's been a roller coaster on this podcast because every couple episodes we're talking about it. But this for the most part all year, it's kind of been speculative. Like, we didn't really have any hard facts. But for the first time, for the most part, we have the hard fact that Henry Cavill is probably not coming back ever again as Superman. So I think this is an opportune time.
Dumped like a trap.
I'm feeling less and less optimistic about James Gunn's universe, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, no, we've reached the point where he needs to say what the plan is.
Well,
Yeah,
he's
give
only
us the
been in the
plan
chair
for
for what, a
Top
month
Gun.
and a half, 2 months? I mean,
And he's already ruined all of our dreams.
well,
Expeditiously.
Was it him or
Yes.
or was it our expectations?
It was literally his call. So yes.
But also, I kind of still blame Dwayne Johnson for giving us the hope.
Yeah, that's a whole nother subject to talk about.
Do we want to talk about it?
I mean, me and Christian have seen some videos. We could go for a minute. Like that's up to you
Yeah.
guys.
Is it
I would
related
like
to
to
this?
hear this. Yeah, let's do it.
It was so Christian and I found the same video, and for the life of me, I can't remember the content creator's name. If we can find it later, we'll put it in the notes. But we independently came across the same video, and basically the guy was saying, you know, if there's one thing The Rock is good at, it's being a hype man, and especially when it comes to hyping himself. And basically, it was like all the DC fans kind of got played because he really didn't give a crap about DC. And he definitely didn't care about the Snyderverse. What he wanted to do was hop on an existing fan base and cash that in, which is why most of the things that he was recommending and suggesting really made no sense.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to put a powerful existing cameo at the end of Black Adam. It's not going to be Black Adam's antagonist or hero, Shazam. It's going to be Superman. That doesn't even make sense. Like, why Superman? That is not even. They even had the sorcerer Shazam in the movie, and Shazam didn't show up. And kind of the same thing with the whole, we're going to bring back Henry Cavill. Did he really care about bringing Henry Cavill back, or did he just know that's what people were asking for? So
Yeah, he's a great marketing man because he was hyping the movie up for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and then finally was just like, "Yeah, go see Black Adam." Henry Cavill's in it.
Yeah.
So and like all over Instagram, all over Twitter, all that other stuff, and it's like that should have been the time all the DC fans just looked and was just like, you know what? Let's not.
Yeah.
Let's just step away.
But Henry Cavill. Also,
Yeah.
tied to this, we talked previously about how Black Adam was not going to make a profit, and like a bunch of news articles made a big deal about this. And he was like, "Oh no, I got the facts. It's definitely going to make a profit." Come to find out, according to several Warner Brothers executives, it's likely that Dwayne Johnson and his team purposely leaked a financial sheet filled with false assumptions to Deadline to make it seem like Black Adam was a financial success. So basically, he faked some financial documents.
What's neat about that, and by neat I mean really stupid, is I don't know who at Warner Brothers thought that this movie was going to make a ton of money.
Yeah.
Because like no matter how you look at it, there's no angle in which this movie is like a blockbuster. It's about a character that most people, unless you're a comic book nerd, have never heard of. It's not even a main character. It's the villain of a main character. That main character is not in the movie. And if you look at any Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie that is not part of an existing franchise a la Fast and Furious
Or Jumanji.
or Jumanji or something like that, his movies average $300 to $400 million revenue. Like, Black Adam actually earned spot on what you could expect from a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie. So the real question becomes, why did they put so much money into it?
Well, I think that's the whole problem behind the previous regime at WB, is that they just threw money at everything, and now they're bleeding
Yeah.
money. So
The only thing that was worth the money in that movie was Pierce Brosnan. I will die on that hill.
Very much so.
And the end credit scene with Henry Cavill.
there you go.
Yeah, well worth $250,000.
I mean, we keep talking on this movie. We all enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
I mean, it was a fun movie, but like,
It was what it was.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. That.
it was exactly what I thought it was going to be
Yeah.
when I went to see it.
Because I almost thought I was going to get to see like a cartoon because they put in the trailer where he throws the guy into the ocean, and I'm like, I've seen that many of cartoons. So it's like it was what it was.
Yeah. So Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson probably not coming back, and I think I'm okay with it.
It's fine. Go back to action movies.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts on this years-long saga of WB and DC and Henry Cavill and James Gunn and Ben Affleck. And
No,
I'm
move
really
on.
hoping, I really hope that this is probably one of the last times you talk about this dumpster fire, because it's been
No, I mean, I think
depressing.
I think we're at the point, like, obviously we'll talk about the movies that are coming out because, I mean, they're coming out. We're going to go see them. Like, I'm going to go see The Flash, stuff like that. We are at the point now where James Gunn has to say what the plan is.
Mhm.
Until he says that, everything is speculative and it's not really worth talking about. But, like, the thing that I figured was preventing us from talking about it was they wanted to protect the revenue stream of the movies that were coming out. Because, like we've said, what's the point of going to see them now?
Yeah.
The point is to see your favorite characters on
Right.
screen and just have fun.
Mhm.
But, I mean, there is an intrinsic value now. We expect these things to exist in a larger universe. So, I could understand if they were holding off on his announcement until these movies were out, so that hopefully it doesn't kill the momentum.
I totally read DC's gonna do the whole New Year, New Me thing.
Mhm.
Start off the year like, oh yeah, this is the plan that we have for this year, and then 2 months later, kill it.
That's funny. I just want the audience to know, as Christian was saying, that he was like shrugging his shoulder.
Yeah.
I'm kind of at a point to where I'm pretty much done talking about DC. I just will talk about it when the next movie comes out and after we see it, because I'm just whatever.
Jason's been hurt real bad, y'all.
Yes.
And we all have, but he's the most visibly shaken.
And I feel so stupid because it's just about like Superman, but it's like I really just don't care about it anymore. It's like screw it.
You allowed them to give you hope, and they crushed it. They mishandled our hope.
They did.
Yeah, that song, Don't Go Breaking My Heart.
Quit
They didn't listen to
playing
it.
games with my heart.
All right, let's get off this topic.
With my heart. With my
Moving on
heart.
to another
I
Henry
should
Cavill
have
related.
known from
Jason,
the
we're moving on.
start.
We have moved on.
I can't.
We also
move
don't have the
on.
rights to that
I'm
song.
not ready to move
Yeah, you're
on
gonna get
yet.
us delisted. All right, so on to happier stories. So almost, I think it was like the day after that it was announced that Henry Cavill is not coming back as Superman, Amazon announced that they have acquired the rights to Warhammer 40,000 or 40K.
40K. Don't say it like a non-nerd.
I don't even know what it is.
God dang, Jason, don't yell at me. So Warhammer 40, let me finish the headline. Jeez. So Amazon Studios has announced that it has secured the rights to Warhammer 40K and plans to start a universe of Warhammer programming that will be executive produced by and star Henry Cavill. So no actual project has been announced yet, but it's sounding like
Doesn't even matter.
at least a live-action television series a la Rings of Power. So Amazon's just going to throw money at it. But not only is Henry Cavill going to star in some capacity in this show or movie, he's going to be executive producing it as well. So he's going to be like the Kevin Feige of the Warhammer universe. So
Have you heard how baller Amazon was about this deal, by the way?
No.
Like, this was all done essentially from start to finish within 24 hours.
that's why I didn't hear anything about this until basically it was a done deal.
Literally, they had people reaching out to Games Workshop, who owns and makes Warhammer 40K, and Henry Cavill's team at the exact same time, basically saying, if we get the other people to agree, would you do it?
That's pretty cool.
I feel like this was done in a group chat.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Whatever the
Right.
business, there was a Slack chat room, and they were
You're like,
They
Henry,
were
you're
all
on,
over
you're
it.
on mute. Henry, you're
Yeah.
yeah, unmute. There you go. Okay.
he's yelling, but he's excited. Yeah. No, so no. For those who don't know, Warhammer 40K is the arguably more popular version of the Warhammer franchise, being a fantasy tabletop series set around multiple races forever engaged in war, hence the name. And the 40K version takes place 40,000 years into the future. So this is actually one of Henry Cavill's favorite things on the face of the planet. It's one of his pillars of nerdiness that he's become famous for. And it is nonstop ultra violence between men, orcs, demons, aliens, all sorts of fun stuff. And it's all in space. And it's just ridiculous and nonstop.
So reading Henry Cavill's post on Instagram, which is where he announced that he was involved, He said, "For 30 years, I have dreamt of seeing a Warhammer universe in live action. Now, after 22 years of experience in this industry, I finally feel that I have the skill set and experience to guide a Warhammer cinematic universe into life. Partnering with Natalie Vescuso at Vertigo has been a blessing beyond words. Without her, we might not have found the perfect home at Amazon. And having a home like Amazon will give us the freedom to be true to the massive scope of Warhammer. To all of you Warhammer fans out there, I promise to respect this IP that we all love. I promise to bring you something familiar, and I endeavor to bring you something fantastic that is, as of yet, unseen. Our first steps are to find our filmmaker, creator, and writer. Watch this space, my friends. For the Emperor."
Nice.
Such a nerd.
What a nerd.
Nice. I'm so excited.
Yeah, with it being on Amazon, I hope we get like some kind of scope of like The Boys.
The
Dude,
Lord of the Rings.
Everything
Yeah.
Amazon puts out, they just throw money at it.
Pretty
and it's-
solid.
The production value is always like, dang. So, like, Amazon has become the new Netflix. Like, I'll say it.
Oh.
I'll say it.
It's true though.
I mean, yeah.
like it's true though. So yeah, no, this is the best thing that could have happened post Superman news, as far as I'm
you got to
concerned.
bring that back up.
Well, no, I mean that's it is though.
That's the light bulb.
Yeah, it's the light at the end of the tunnel.
But I'm also kind of just worried for Henry Cavill because literally everything he loves that he gets involved in never works out. So,
but this is the first time that he's an EP on it.
Yeah.
He has creative control over it. And it kind of sounds via his message like he's possibly the showrunner, or at least the Feige-esque figure.
Yeah.
Because if they're starting a universe, that means multiple projects.
Mhm.
So I'm for
That's
it.
all he wanted from The Witcher, right?
Yeah. Just please make it something like the books. Netflix is like, no.
Nah, we're
Nah, dog.
Netflix.
We're good.
We're not Amazon.
all right, let's move on to some smaller stories.
Go.
Nope, different song.
Sorry.
So the first one up is a God of War live action series has been officially announced for Amazon Prime. So Cory
Killing
Borlaug
it.
will be executive producer. He is the director of the video game franchise. So obviously it's going to be
Good sign.
It's going to be co-production with Sony Pictures Television and PlayStation Productions. So it's going to be heavily tied into the Santa Monica Studios that creates the video games. It's going to be
Also
following
good sign.
Kratos in the Norse realm of Midgard, following his quest for vengeance in ancient Greece. So it's actually going to be picking up.
See, that's what I was going to say. This is my problem with it.
Okay.
I was so on board until they said this is where they were starting. Because this is what makes it feel like a cash grab.
So the original series of games was set in Greek mythology,
Correct.
and the most recent two games have all been set in Norse
mythology on Midgard.
Yes.
And it's worth noting that it was a duology. Like there is no third or fourth game that will at least tie into this segment of the franchise.
Okay.
Like that story is complete now.
Okay.
And which is all fine. It was incredible. I'd love to see an adaptation of that. But to me, that would be like starting your introduction to Luke Skywalker with Luke Skywalker in 7, 8, and 9.
Mhm.
Like, it's interesting if you know how he got there. Otherwise, he's just a grumpy asshole.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I feel like we're going to miss out on so much character building. So maybe there'll be flashbacks or something like that. Also, you know, everything that happens before that is kind of how he becomes the God of War.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Plus, there were so many epic action set pieces in the original trilogy of games that were just ludicrous and over the top and would have been amazing to
Yeah.
see.
What are they doing with Krator that's different?
Kratos?
Kratos? Oh. I made a
Kratos.
He-Man figure,
Well-
Krator.
They're just starting him in the twilight of his character,
Oh.
He is now the grumpy old dad.
which is fine. Like, that's still an
Boy.
interesting character, but
Boy.
more. No, so no, like, I'm excited for this. That's the only thing that kind of raised a little red flag for me, because like I said, that's what moved it from being, hey, we're going to do a wonderful adaptation of this incredible video game saga, into, hey, we're going to cash in on something that's super popular right now.
Mm.
Oh no, the stories of these two most recent games are some of the best stories ever told in video games. So
I'm not saying it's going to be bad.
I definitely
I'm just
understand
saying.
the hesitation, because obviously there were like 3 main games plus other spin-offs before the 2018 game ever happened. It's like there definitely is a lot of backstory that it sounds like they might not be hitting. But I think it could still be done because, like you said, they could be doing flashbacks or something.
I'm just saying, like, I kind of wanted to see Kratos become the God of War since we're calling it the God of War. The whole point is that he killed literally all the other gods. We're cutting the part where he killed like 30 gods. He kills like 4 gods in the new games.
So is he Christian Bale's character?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
The God
Yeah.
Butcher.
So yeah, I'll watch it. I'm excited for it. But that part irks me a little bit.
We'll see where it goes.
We'll see where it goes. Moving on. So, our next story, another small one, but I want to turn this into a little game. So, it has been announced that Iron Man, the 2008 movie starring Robert Downey Jr., obviously we all know about that one, has been inducted to the National Film
Hey,
Registry.
that's not right.
Basically like-
Don't you mean Steel?
So, Iron Man has been inducted to the National Film Registry. It's like the Hall of Fame of movies, essentially.
Right.
It is the first Marvel movie to be inducted to this registry, and it's only the 3rd ever superhero movie to be inducted to the National Film Registry. I want to know, pop quiz, what are the other 2 films?
Superman and Batman.
Which Batman?
Michael
1989.
Yeah, I'm going to
Incorrect.
give both.
Incorrect.
All right.
So Superman, I'm assuming you're talking about 1970.
Christopher Reeve, Superman.
That
Yeah.
one's correct.
Is it Batman Begins?
No.
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I was gonna say obviously Batman and Robin.
Right.
obviously.
So each year, the Library of Congress selects 25 films that are at least 10 years old and considered culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant to preserve. Since the program began in 1988, many films from The Wizard of Oz to various films in the Star Wars franchise to 1978 Superman have been added to the collection. And so Iron Man's joining the cast of characters.
Nice, well deserved.
Oh.
Well deserved. Suck it, Keaton's Batman.
A piece of trivia that I've heard about Star Wars being added.
They wouldn't take the re-releases from George Lucas.
Yeah, it's
I think
like
that is it. Yeah. Like
they
it's the
don't.
original
Yeah,
cut.
they don't actually have a copy
Oh, because it was all torn down. when
because
you
it
did
was
the
all. Yeah,
re-edits
they
or
don't have
whatever?
the
Yeah.
original copy of Star Wars. So
Someone
there's
sent
no
him a VHS.
right. So they don't like. So it's Star Wars has been added in name only. There's
Huh.
there's
That's
no
wild,
actual-
but I completely believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's entirely true. And I was trying to find
That sounds plausible.
Yeah, it does sound plausible.
So Pokemon, I don't think we've ever even mentioned that name on this podcast.
Gotta catch 'em all.
So I don't know how Christian and Jason feel, but like growing up, Josh and I were huge fans of Pokemon, the TV series, the card game, the video games.
We need to cash in our cards, by the way.
Yeah, so for the fans of this podcast, I have recently discovered that Josh and I owned a lot of first edition Pokemon cards that are actually still in pretty good shape because I kept them all in a binder. So those things are probably worth a pretty penny that we need to
That's
get
how
to.
we could build the studio.
Sure.
Or pay off our cars or something.
Yeah, responsible, you know.
Have you looked any of these up yet, just to see?
If they
Are
do-
in as good a shape as we hope.
Yeah, if so, I do have some holographic first editions as well, which is like,
Okay.
like even like some rare prints of ones. Anyways, like I have like a holographic Charizard first edition. If it was in perfect 10 out of 10 condition, it would be thousands and thousands of dollars. It's not in a perfect 10 out of 10. It's probably like at least a 7 or 8, but still,
Hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
at least
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds.
But see,
So-
now we're in a quandary, in a bit of a sticky wicket, if you would, because it's worth more and you can sell it for more if it's graded.
Yeah.
But they charge you to grade it based on the value that they think it's going to be. So in other words, to grade that holographic Charizard could cost thousands of dollars and you got to pay that up front.
Oof.
So like we're having to strategically decide what do we send to get graded.
Anyway, this is not even a story.
Sorry. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all.
Pokemon, the TV series that has been airing for 25 years.
Quarter of a century.
Quarter of a century, starring Ash Ketchum, the Pokemon trainer and collector,
Forever
with
11 years old.
with his little sidekick Pikachu. The TV series is being rebooted, and Ash and Pikachu will no longer be the stars of the show. They are getting an 11 episode
Swan song.
storyline to wrap up their story, and then they're gone. So after 25 years, Pokemon is getting a big old reboot.
Well, wasn't it not long ago, like just a few weeks back, that he finally
is the grand champion.
Yeah. 25 years.
Took 25 years.
I mean, takes a long time.
Just
You got to catch them all.
yeah.
Like, I remember, like, I don't know where you were at in life, Jason, when Pokemon, the craze hit. But I remember, I think it was 1999 when the Pokemon movie went to theaters. And
First time I cried in public.
yeah. Christian, did you go see that movie when you were little?
I did not.
Oh my God, you missed out on something.
I did. I was going to say, didn't collect any cards. I vicariously lived through another kid that had like a trapper keeper full of Pokemon cards.
It's where ours have
I was like, sweet.
safely lived for 2 decades.
But I remember waking up for school, and I was actually when I got my first TV, and then Pokemon would just come on in the morning. So I would like watch.
We watched it
Pokemon
every morning. Yeah.
before I got on the bus. So that's my Pokemon experience.
You had to
Yeah.
guess the Pokemon
Yeah,
during the commercial breaks.
Yeah.
With the silhouette. Yeah.
I was usually wrong.
Jason, I know you were like already 40 when Pokemon hit shelves, but what's your experience with Pokemon been?
In between driving around, going to the malt shop.
Right.
Did you-
And my,
Why you
my
had to
Model
crank
T
your
Ford. You know, I never really got into it. It was around me. I was aware of it. In 99, I had just turned 20. So I was dealing with other things in life, and certainly not Pokemon. But I also recognize, but see, I don't put it, although I'm not interested in it, I also recognize the cultural phenomenon that it is.
Yeah.
And I will not diminish that. I know it's a big deal. So whereas I may not be really paying attention to it, I do know it's a big deal. And so it's impressive that it's been able to stick around and for so long with such an impact. So I recognize that, and I'll leave it there.
So wrapping up the story, having finally achieved his goals, Ash Ketchum, in his final installment, will check in with old friends like Misty.
Wait. His last name is actually Ketchum?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Ash
You gotta catch 'em all.
gotta catch them all?
Yeah. But it's spelled with a K.
Well, I get it. I get that. But still,
I have
phonetically-
never put that together.
Are you
Serious?
serious?
This is not a good look for you.
Wow. And next story.
My entire world just turned upside down. Wow.
I had that epiphany in middle school. It's like, oh, catch him.
Like he's gonna catch them all. It's not like it was the slogan for the show.
I didn't know it was his last name, so I never made the connection till now. So,
So anyway, he's going to meet up with Misty and get a glimpse of what the future holds for people like Ash and Pikachu.
oh gosh.
All right, let's move on. So Donald Glover, that guy, he's going to be starring in and producing a Hypno Hustler film, a new Spider-Man villain spin-off film set within the Sony Spider-Man universe. This is coming via The Hollywood Reporters, so it's probably pretty solid.
I'm done. I'm out. Like
Hypno Hustler.
like you realize now that they've got their Sinister Six, right?
Yes, and Hypno Hustler is one of them.
So is friggin' not Bane, El Muerto or whatever, which I literally just think means the death.
In case our audience has not seen who Hypno Hustler is, I will be sharing a link to the artwork in the show notes. But
Just saying, if I came up with this idea, I would be called a racist.
Indeed. Like, I'm
Christian,
Like,
take
just-
two.
I can't say it's not funny.
he literally has brass knuckles that say super on one hand and funk on the other hand. So I, as a huge Spider-Man fan, I've actually never heard of this character before. He has not been in any of these storylines I have read any of the comics for. So I don't know where they're getting this character from. I'm sure he's a real thing, but
Is he a pimp?
yeah.
Super pimp.
So
I'm just saying, like,
it looks like he's relatively new.
Okay, maybe that's why I haven't.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that makes it better.
I did a quick pull up on Wikipedia of him. Looks like he's got the 20 worst supervillains from June 2015. 5 Superman villains you'll never see in theaters, 2015.
Oh no!
Oh, awkward.
So, but
has Sony seen this list?
but knowing what we know about Donald Glover, and then looking into this character, he's the lead singer of a musical group, the Mercy Killers, and I could see, that it kind of ties into, his love of music and kind of doing, I don't know how you describe his take on the art of music, but he certainly has his own persona that really comes out when he does his music as Childish Gambino.
Yeah, it's like 70s soul,
right?
And funk, sort of.
Right. So I kind of see this kind of playing into how he is as a musician, this particular character. So I can see why he's drawn to it.
But stay with me here.
Mm.
Perfect casting doesn't suddenly make a character good. Like, this is just the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Well, yeah. Again,
Well, this is something I've wanted to say this entire podcast,
Okay.
like me being on it. We have to note that if you've seen his show Atlanta,
Yeah.
if he has anything to do about producing this show, that might be the most trippiest thing to see.
okay.
Because his direction in the show itself, it's like if a left turn was a right turn.
Okay.
So
I get what you're saying. I understand. But it's like, surely there was a board meeting or something where they actually, no, you know what? There wasn't. There probably wasn't. There was probably no meeting at Sony where they talked about what the direction of their little universe was going to be ever.
I mean, that much was clear when they threw together that post-credit scene in Morbius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still
So never mind.
recoiling from that.
You guys are right. I'm operating under a false assumption. There is no plan. This isn't a bad plan. There is no plan. They are just pulling names out of a hat. Yeah, we'll make this movie. Bear in mind, their Spider Universe does not have a Spider-Man. So that's where we're at. We are assembling the Sinister Six, the weirdest ass Sinister Six I've ever seen in my entire life, to fight a Spider-Man that does not exist. So it's fine. This is a good plan.
also, my thing is like his possible character arc, quote unquote, from the Tom Holland universe.
Yes, thank you for bringing this up.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was the guy in the first movie, Homecoming, that Spider-Man web shoots
To the
car.
trunk, and he's like, "Hey man, I gotta go." And he's
Yeah.
just like, no, it's fine.
And it was hinted that he was going to be the uncle of
Miles Morales.
and he was going to end up being the Prowler. But we never got any more on that. So now is he playing two
Is this the
people
same
in this-
guy?
Yeah. Is he playing two people in the same universe?
See, this is a dumpster fire.
Yeah, and back to Dunn.
As soon as DC gets it together, we're going to be able to start using the sound effect for Sony.
Tony's taking the mantle.
All right, let's get into our spoiler reviews.
Emphasis on spoilers.
Emphasis on spoilers for Avatar: The Way of Water and RRR. Which one do you guys want to start with?
Which one was longer?
It's pretty close.
That's a very good point. Both of these were 3+ hour long movies, but in very different veins. Let's go and start with Avatar.
Yeah.
I'm going to check out for the next 30 minutes so you guys discuss. I'll be back. I'm just going to sit here and listen.
Wow. So Jason did not go see this movie.
No.
He was adamantly against it. And you know what? I almost was too, but I at least went and saw it. But so Josh, Christian, and I went to go see it ourselves together. What'd you guys think?
It was a movie.
Is this a good thing?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good thing. I actually was discussing in the car with another friend over a phone call about the movie. I really advised her to see it in 3D because I don't know how I would have reacted to the movie without seeing it in 3D. because the 3D experience in this movie was definitely what brought me in. One of the reasons why I would want to see the movie is the visual aspect, because some kind of a nerd about.
We always knew it was going to be eye candy.
It was going to look awesome.
And it did.
Okay, it did. And
amazing.
The 3D
12
aspect
out of
of
10.
it was that they made the Na'vi look so good that the real people in this movie
Look like trash.
they actually, to me, looked like they were in 8,000K. Because it's like they even got it down to the pores, like the water dripping down their face, blah blah blah. And then like looking at real people, I was like, my brain's about to explode.
I went in with such mid expectations. Like I said, I expected it to be pretty. I expected it to be a technological marvel. I expected it to be a kind of like you said, like a cinematic experience, and it was all of those things. I was kind of blown away by it. Maybe it's because my expectations were so low. I also come at the story from a different angle than you guys. I'm a dad. That is a very big part of that story.
Yeah.
And it is hard. Like I saw a guy who tweeted years ago, I don't even remember who it was, but he was just like, I think he was talking about Doctor Who. He was like, man, ever since I became a dad, I cry in every episode of Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's true. It rewires your brain a little bit. And Jake Sully trying to protect his family is essentially the driving force behind the narrative of the movie. Otherwise, it would actually be a very two-dimensional story. And even then, it still kind of is. But like I connected to that in a very big way. And so I was expecting to really just, see a movie where the story was really just an excuse to do cool visuals. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely some of that. But to me, it was actually a way more dimensional story than I was expecting. And there was a lot of heart that I was not expecting.
I mean, I'll give it that. Like, it definitely did have a good story and obviously good visuals and everything. I feel like for the story aspect of it, it kind of played out exactly like I'd expected it to.
Well, yeah.
Not that it was not a good story. Like, it was a good story, really well written. But
so, I mean, it's the exact same thing that Avatar was, right? Avatar did nothing narratively that was revolutionary. In fact, the running joke was it's just X in space. Dances with Wolves in space. Pocahontas in space. Whatever. This one kind of continued that same trend. To me, it was much more obvious that this go around it was cowboys and Indians.
Mm-hmm.
And like it even starts with them derailing a train. Like, I mean, it's like, I mean, it's once you catch the narrative, it's interesting. But if you take that theme and you run with it a little bit, like Jake Sully knows that it's cowboys and Indians. And the reason he's stressed out is because he knows the Cowboys win at the end. He knows that they're wildly outgunned. And that's why he spends most of the movie running instead of fighting, because he knows that one day this is going to boil over. And when that happens, it's this series is not going to have a good ending. The only way it ends well is if the Cowboys just quit and go home.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like it's the story was better than I was expecting. And since everything else was just as good as I was expecting, I think that made my overall opinion of the movie a lot higher. Like the thing that I assumed was going to be the weakest resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. Now, there were some clunky things. Like you said, it was pretty predictable. Like I could have outlined that movie, like maybe not with names, but I could have told you what was going to happen and it would have been pretty darn close. The one part that stood out to me stood out mostly because it just didn't make sense. So the weakest part in the original Avatar was like, to me, like a clinical example of poor writing, which was the driving force, the MacGuffin, the unobtainium, was so poorly defined that they literally named it unobtainium. Like that's you know what I'm saying? Like I mean, come on. How on the nose could you be? So for some reason, when they came back this time, they were no longer interested in the unobtainium, which would have been just fine. Like I assumed that's why they were back, because it's the most rare metal in the universe or whatever. They were stoked. They wanted it. But for some reason, that's not why they're back. They're back for whale snot. And because it prevents humans from aging.
Yeah.
Completely unnecessary. Like who gives, first off, like that's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a metaphor again for like the whaling industry. That's fine. Whatever. James Cameron's an environmentalist. I get it. Woo. But why? Why couldn't it just be the unobtainium still?
Yeah.
Like, that was a needless plot point. And it just raised more questions than it answered.
Well, that's like 10 more movies. Surely it's all going to come together, right?
But I mean, like, do we just not care about the unobtainium anymore? What happened? I thought that was a big deal.
They obtained it
Yeah,
all.
because it was only like a year, wasn't it? Or is that multiple years?
Well, no. So there was like a decade or two, and then there was a 1 year time jump after they got back.
Oh, yeah, because he had like 5 kids.
Yeah. So I mean, like, that was a little weird to me. And there's a few things like that kind of stood out. But I mean, maybe I'm the odd one out this time. I liked it. I'll go see the next one.
It's a weird feeling, isn't it, Josh?
A little bit.
So there was a little quote at the end of the movie where Jake Sully says, "We're sea people now. This is our home." And I could not help but think, until the next movie when James Cameron wants to go explore the sand or the volcanoes or something like,
This is our home.
this is our
Until
home
it's
and
not.
the sequel.
I will say this. When we were watching it, the 3D is literally the best 3D I've ever seen in my entire life. And that has to be because it's all computer generated. So, like, normally when you do 3D, it's one of two things. Either it's two cameras filming side by side, but just very barely off of each other. And then they combine the images together, and that's what creates the 3D-ness.
Mhm.
It's called stereoscopic filming. Or it is done in post-production, where some poor intern's job is to go through every frame of film and separate layers and do it that way. And usually you get like 2 or 3 layers. Because this was all done in a computer, it's perfect. Like, there's no fuzziness. There's no, like, it is perfect. So if you're like my dad and you thought 3D was amazing and you miss it, go see it in 3D. But that led me to think about that story from a few days ago about how Christopher Nolan detonated 17,000 tons of TNT to create a live action nuclear bomb.
Mhm.
James Cameron is like the anti Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is like, no, screw a computer. We're going to do it for real. James Cameron is just like, okay, but we have computers.
Yeah.
What if nothing was real?
Sounds like my life.
Yeah, that
So, yeah,
whole
it was-
truck flip in Dark Knight could have been animated.
Yeah. And it would have taken
Easily.
like a day and a half.
Yeah, but no.
No.
What if flipping this for real?
So yeah, but like, I literally had that thought like 2 or 3 times. He is the anti Christopher Nolan. And I don't even mean that in a bad way, but like, he's very interested in pushing the technology forward as hard as possible. Christopher Nolan is very much about, what if we took it back and everything was real?
Could you
And so-
imagine a James Cameron Inception?
No. I literally can't. No,
No, not at all.
I don't.
And that's one thing too, is like VFX. When you see explosions, your eyes are meant to see it blown out.
Mhm.
Like, you don't ever see color in explosions, like in
Yeah.
real life.
Yeah.
But
It's one of the things they always make fun of in Marvel movies.
yeah,
Like, you're not supposed to be able to see the fire.
and that's what happened in this movie too. I noticed it a lot. That
Yeah.
they didn't blow out any of the flames or anything like that.
Except for at the very beginning when the Sky People, can't believe that's what they're called, Sky People were landing again.
Oh yeah,
He went full on Terminator 2
Yeah, that shot was awesome.
and it was blown out and it looked great. And I literally actually had that exact thought. Oh, it's blown out the way it's supposed to be. And then you're right. They never did it again.
never did it again.
What do you mean blown out? What do you guys?
So I'm glad you asked, Jason.
Mm.
So, so Christian and I both like
there was a
Corridor
cue card
Crew.
for me to ask that. No,
Yeah. Christian and I both like the Corridor Crew. They're a group of special effects guys, and they made a YouTube show reviewing other people's special effects. And they talk about why you believe some and don't believe others. And they had an entire episode that I watched that was about explosions and why explosions today are not as good as explosions were back in the 80s and the early 90s.
okay.
The biggest reason being explosions now are digital
Mhm.
instead of being gasoline.
Okay.
And they said one of the things that sells a good digital explosion is that most cameras, especially when they're set up to film a scene, cannot capture the level of detail that you would need to capture when an explosion gets that bright. It blows out. right? You don't see color anymore. It's mostly white.
Okay.
When you do a digital explosion, because there's no real light, and especially because some poor visual effects guy had to spend so much time rendering that fire, they usually don't have it bright enough. And so it's orange or red. And for some reason, you've always thought, man, that just doesn't look real. And it's because that's not how that explosion would look in an actual camera. It would blow out.
Got it. Okay.
Whereas RRR, which we're going to talk about in a second, actually does a really good job of blowing out and overexposing their explosions, even when they're fake.
All right, let's score this sucker. So, Avatar: The Way of Water. How are we feeling? Someone go first.
4 sequels out of 5.
I'll just go ahead and follow that up. I was going to give it a 4 as well.
Yeah, 4 arrows to the chest.
Nice.
There was one scene there, Jason. I know you're kind of like tuned out, but they got pretty hardcore with the arrows through people's faces in this movie.
Like push that PG-13 as hard as they could.
Out of all the things that you could tell me about, what made you think that would be something that would sell it for me? Like out of
I don't
all,
know.
yeah, like
because that all made us go.
It's like by the way, Jason, so many arrows through people's faces. I know
there
that's
was
something
one
you like.
scene where a guy's arm got chopped off by like a rope. It was awesome. Anyway,
The movie's good.
it was good. I had a good time.
Like I said, I'll go see the next one.
I just wish I had watched it in standard definition, but
Not standard 2D,
standard,
2D.
not 3D.
Yeah.
The standard
Flat screen.
viewing,
2D.
the
Flat
standard
screen, yeah.
viewing.
Standard viewing, not
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, so across the board, that puts us at a 4 to 5.
I feel like
time.
that's fair.
It's a good time.
It's not the greatest movie ever, but it's a good
No.
time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, now I have to go see it to see if you guys are a bunch of liars.
Would I buy it on
Honestly?
DVD? No.
I'd buy it on Blu-ray, not DVD. I don't know who's
I mean-
still buying DVDs, but
That's a general term for Blu-rays.
I buy it on disc.
No,
I buy it on
I'll
disc.
definitely buy this one. It's
a
one
good
for
one.
the collection.
Like I said, I'd definitely say it's better than the first one.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
And that seems to be what a lot of critics are saying, is that this kind of proves that James Cameron is the king of sequels, because the movies that he does that are sequels are dramatically better than their
Original ones.
original ones.
Which usually were not dumpster fires in the first place.
Yeah.
So Titanic 2.
No, I mean
Coming
Terminator.
2025.
Terminator revolutionized.
Yeah, T2, the Alien movies that he
the
did the
genre.
sequels to. But let's move on
I'm so excited.
to RRR, a movie that came out earlier this year. It is an Indian Telugu?
It's a Tollywood film.
It is a Tollywood film. So we incorrectly said Bollywood. Apparently those are two different things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right? Blew my mind too. So this one kind of snuck up on everybody this year because it was not a Hollywood-made film. But it slowly caught fire. It broke some records in international box offices. It's being listed in several noteworthy lists of best movies of the year. Filmmakers such as James Gunn and others have said it's one of their favorite movies of the year. One other thing is that the film was considered to be one of the best films of the year by the National Board of Review, making it only the second non-English film ever to make it to the list. We were skeptical about this movie going into it because it was not a Hollywood movie. It was only English dubbed. So like we were going to be watching a dub of this movie. So it's going to be
Weren't American.
it was not American. So it was not our typical viewing experience. But Josh highly recommended that we go watch this because he had heard good things. So Jason, Josh, and I watched it ourselves together. And 5 minutes into it, our minds were blown. And we enjoyed every second of those 3 hours. We had to get Christian on board, and we did the same thing. Yeah, RRR. Someone explain what this movie even was.
So it is in the 1920s, and it's set against the backdrop of the Indian people, the literal Indian people, kind of deciding they were over having the British occupy their country. And the film does not shy away from making the Brits the bad people. And that's actually a good lead into kind of the entire movie. It is a very, and I've tried to think over the last week how best to put it. It is a very heightened movie. Like even calling it over the top is not really being fair.
Mm-mm.
It's heightened, which again fits in with the Bollywood, Tollywood sort of thing.
Yeah, I'll let you finish your thought. But even then, like
I'm gonna let you finish.
I'll let you finish.
But
even the parts that you would call over the top were only the action scenes. Like everything else, like the slower paced portions of the film, were pretty much grounded in reality.
And that's kind of what I was getting at is that it is ridiculous. It is. But they do it with a straight face. And it was very intentional. And again, that's part of what movies out of that region are known for. But it would be kind of like if you did The Patriot mixed with Hamilton, directed by Michael Bay. Like that would be the American version of this movie. So it's absolutely ridiculous. But I think the best comparison I've heard was actually from someone at work. And they said, dude, I know what you're talking about. I watched it on Netflix the other day. It's like a real life anime. That's actually dead on.
That's pretty spot on. Yeah.
Like in anime, like the main characters, even if they're not, aliens or gods or whatever, they're usually stronger than everybody else, more charming than everybody else, better looking than everybody else. But no one acts like it's weird. Like it's just accepted. And that's very much how it plays out. Everyone in the movie, aside from our heroes and villains, are relatively normal. Like they're not blown out of proportion. The only people blown out of proportion are the heroes.
Yeah.
And again, it's on purpose. And because it's on purpose, everyone else in the world does not react to their over the topness. Other than just being like, yeah, they're amazing.
So I will say the English dubbing at times can be kind of confusing, especially when you try to watch these subtitles at the same time, because whoever did the subtitles in the dubbing were not the same people. So oftentimes the subtitles were far better than the dubbing was, and the dubbing, obviously, it made no sense.
If you can find a copy of this movie done with its original audio, but just with English subtitles, it is the best way to watch it. You can find snippets of it on like YouTube and stuff, which leads me to believe the cut is out there somewhere. I just don't know how to get it. But like we said, the antagonists of the film are British, and they're played by relatively well-known actors. The governor is what's his face? He was the Punisher before John Barenthal was the Punisher. And the governess is Elsa from not Raiders of the Lost Ark, but The Last Crusade. And so, I mean, like they got relatively well-known people to play the British folks, and obviously they speak English the entire time. And one of the protagonists, Ram, has a lot of the time where he speaks English. And when you find the original cut, you actually hear the actor speaking English. And when he's supposed to be speaking whatever the language is, Tali or I'm butchering it. But anyway, then that's when the subtitles come in. And it blows my mind that for some reason Netflix doesn't have that cut of the film. That would have seemed like a really big no-brainer. But just bear with it. Like, get past that. Like get over the fact that it's not in English, because it is the most insane, amazing, ridiculous thing you've ever seen in your entire life.
Yeah, so let's just go point by point. So I think the biggest takeaway for me was the soundtrack, because holy crap, every single song was a banger.
Yeah.
And you can find that on Apple Music or Spotify.
It's
in
like
seven
albums.
different volumes, but highly recommend.
Definitely listen to 4 hours already.
Yeah, like it is absolutely, but again, it fits in with the movie.
Yeah.
Everything is to 11.
Yeah.
Everything.
There were, so like a lot of Indian films they're essentially musicals. This one actually was, from what I can tell, it's actually
Kinda
pretty watered down.
Yeah, kind of
as far as
down.
musicals go for Indian films.
But they made up for it with the score.
There were, I guess, like 2 dance numbers. The first one, that's probably about an hour into the film. Probably one of the coolest dance numbers I have ever seen in cinema. Because I got to give it to these 2 lead men, because they were doing action scenes and
Singing.
insane dance numbers and singing. Like, these are probably some of the best leading men ever in cinema, and no one knows their names
On this side of the world.
on this side of the world.
Yeah.
Because like the dance they were doing, that looks
Not
like,
an easy dance.
that looks hard.
Yeah.
And that even actually played into the plot, because like they actually like had a
See,
little
that's what I was going
dance
to say is I have seen a couple of Bollywood films, which again, this is Tollywood, which is slightly adjacent, but the idea is the same. Usually it's almost kind of done tongue in cheek. Like they look straight into the camera and it's essentially a dance break for no reason. It's just kind of help you reset your attention span, I guess. Every time there was a musical number in this, which there was only one dance number, but there were a couple of musical numbers. It was always directly related to what was happening.
Mhm.
Like Corey said, the dance number was literally a dance off because a British dude was kind of being a dick and insinuating that, quote, the brown people don't know anything about dance. They don't know anything about art. And they show them their style of dance, which stinks all over the British versions. And so no, it's organic and it ties in.
Well, I was even saying specifically at the end of that number when they face off against each other and like had the very slow turn to their side to stare at each other. I laughed out loud. Like,
Yeah.
that was hilarious.
Yeah.
So that takes me to the next point, the action scenes. There were several throughout the film, but specifically like the last one.
Wait,
like
The last
third
20
act.
minutes of the movie.
Oh, like when my man showed up in a truck full of animals and then whipped it sideways.
This actually leads me to my point, is they actually, like, a lot of it was what you're saying is quote unquote over the top, but also they still stuck to the details to make it believable.
Yeah.
So like when he jumps out of this truck and with all these wild animals to like wreak havoc, he has torches of fire to control the animals so they don't attack him.
And some of them still try to.
Yeah.
Like they don't break enough reality that you ever just say, okay, this is just stupid.
Oh yeah.
Like they very carefully walked that line.
And there's definitely a small scene where you see one of the, I guess, soldiers in that castle get pounced on
Mhm.
and then does a flip.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you look at this guy, the way he has to flip and then them animate the, I think it was like Panther.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Like a
with him or
leopard or
something like that.
something, yeah.
It was like, that is amazing.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the
Just
level-
everybody involved. Yeah.
Everybody involved in this movie, the level they were at to make this movie is astonishing.
My favorite part is definitely got to be at the end though, where Beam shows up and rips off a cell door, picks up his best friend who can no longer walk, puts him on his shoulders like a chicken fight, and then they just like kung fu their way out of the prison camp.
And the in tandem reload.
Yes.
Yes.
Which they did twice because they knew it blew your mind the first time and they wanted to give it to you one more time.
Right. They didn't overdo it. I think that's the good thing about this is that it was there was so muchness to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but they did everything in moderation. Like they gave you like an awesome thing, but they didn't do it again over and over and over. Like they knew
Yeah.
it was awesome. They gave you like maybe another hint of it again, and then they moved on to something else. So you weren't exhausted by the same thing. You weren't saturated by the same awesomeness over and over and over. You just kept getting new awesome and different awesome throughout the movie, and it was just such a fun ride. You strapped in, and it was just fantastic.
And they did a good job, kind of like you said, of the most ridiculous things were at the end of the movie. And so you kind of got eased into it. It was a slow crescendo of ridiculousness.
Yeah, like actually going back to like the first action scene, there was really big, like three big ones, I think. And so like the first one that we really see is Ram.
Yeah.
Yes. And he gets the order to go arrest that man.
Right.
And he like does this epic leap over the fence into this rioting crowd of people
And controls the crowd.
and controls the crowd single-handedly.
With his perfect hair and perfect mustache.
Yes.
But they kept it believable because like he's being ganged up on by dozens of people while he's trying to arrest this man. And like he's taking punches to the face, kicks to all over the place. He's bleeding and getting rocks thrown at his head. But when he escapes from this crowd, you can believe that he's able to escape because he does like very strategic things. Like he trips one person that like creates a cascading effect, and like he pokes one person in the eyes, and like it
And he gets beat up.
He does get beat up.
Like,
But,
he's had a go of it by the time he's done.
they make it so believable, but also ridiculous at the same time. Because even the guards that are watching him do this, like, even they're in disbelief. Like, how is he doing this? I'm scared of him.
Which was a very anime type of.
That's what I'm saying.
Scene.
Like, someone
Yeah.
compared it to
Going
anime, and
back
I
to
was
your
just like,
anime.
well,
Yeah.
you know what? That checks out.
Yeah,
That
when
fits.
he like two-step leaped over the fence.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Barrel crate over the fence. Yeah. Like,
And,
When the three of us watched it, and we finished watching that scene, we knew that we were going to have to review it, and that we knew that we were going to have to get you, Christian, to watch it. And we were sitting there bemoaning the fact that you could not join us because
Yeah.
we wanted after that scene, we knew we all had to watch it, and we wanted you to be there.
but we couldn't
So-
stop. We had to keep going.
Right.
So-
I
Right. So,
completely understand.
well, I mean, I was in town, and all the things didn't work out. But so what? I need to know how you watched it. Like, what did you think while you were watching it? Like, did you get all ramped up like we did, or did you? Like, what did you think?
I mean, I grew up in a household with my mom. She loves the Sci-Fi Channel,
Nice.
and so if
Yes.
you watch anything from the Sci-Fi Channel, it's basically made in Bollywood.
Okay.
How ridiculous that it is.
Okay.
So I was in it like full force.
Nice.
Like, and the thing that made me laugh was we get introduced to our characters, and then boom, here comes a title card. I'm like, wait a minute, it's been 45
yeah, 45 minutes before you get the title card for the movie.
I was like, what? Now the movie's starting?
Yeah.
Cool. All
To
right,
be
cool.
fair, there is another 2 hours after the title card.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
I mean, I didn't
So,
hate
yeah.
it. Didn't hate it.
And you didn't
Yeah,
even
it was-
realize you hadn't seen the title yet either until you see the
Exactly.
title card.
Because you kept seeing the R's pop up, and
Right.
it was talking about what the R's meant and blah,
Right.
blah, blah. But then
Then the title card.
the title card comes in with the music, and I'm like, okay, now the movie's starting.
Yeah, that was all set up.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
When we got to the third act of the movie and we got the backstory, like the backstory on the main characters, and actually they actually had like a flashback within the flashback. It was actually kind of awesome. We all looked at each other and we were like, this is freaking Shakespearean, this storyline. Like, we did not see it coming.
Yeah.
It's so weird because we had a fantastic story that we did not predict. We had amazing over-the-top action that was believable and fun to watch. We had cinematography that we have not really even talked about that was
Beautiful.
the best we've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
We had CG, which for
For the most part.
was pretty awesome. Like,
And
there were
what
some
wasn't
parts
was
you could obviously-
forgivable.
Yeah.
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 Amazing score, amazing acting, awesome dance numbers. Like, every single point you could possibly hit with this movie hit. And I cannot think of a single thing I did not like about this movie.
Yeah, usually you see from like Bollywood movies that you see that speed racer acting.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
but no, everybody did such an amazing job, and the stakes felt like stakes.
Yeah. Like, you wanted things to work out. You cared
Yeah,
whether or not it worked out.
Like, and I think that really drove that point home when Beam was being whipped by, spoilers,
Right.
his best friend.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Because they didn't know.
they didn't know.
Because they didn't know.
And just the way he became a symbol of the rebellion and the revolt, and he just kept taking those whips. I'm like, wow, this is emotional. And they threw a dance or a musical number on top of it, made it even more emotional. So
They also used that scene to double down on how bad the British were, because the
Yeah.
the governess
Like,
was
the
not
triple
as
down.
to
pleased
circle
with-
back around.
There wasn't enough
Yeah.
blood. He wasn't hurting enough. Here,
She was a
use
freak.
this whip with nails in it. Just
That I just have.
yeah,
Right.
she just had that.
and the husband's like, "Oh, you're so devious, my darling."
In British.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very hard to explain with the precise words of what we're trying to get.
That's actually a very good point.
Yeah.
This is a movie that you cannot describe to your friends
Yeah.
because you'll just sound stupid.
Right.
Like you just can't. I tried to tell my friend Justin at work about it. And it's just like, I'm not doing it justice trying to tell you about it. Like, it's not, you don't get it. And I can tell you don't get it. because it's just one of the things. If you don't know, you don't know. And so my recommendation to you, like I'm going to go into, it's a 5 out of 5, flat out.
Mhm.
I don't care what anyone else here says. It's 5 out of 5. You need to watch it with as many people as you can because it is an experience.
And okay, and these people that you watch it with, they cannot be talkers.
Yeah, you
You,
can't.
you got to
Yeah,
sit
you will-
and watch
you-
the dang movie.
Put down your phone.
Yeah.
For 3 hours. Okay. Twitter's going to die any minute now. Okay. Put down your phone for 3 hours. Watch this amazing movie. It's one of the only things on Netflix that's worth watching. Get your $20 worth and experience something truly unique. You won't see anything else like it this year.
Or ever.
I need to see a movie with the mom that got sideswiped by the log to the face,
Right.
Good
and then
Lord.
somehow was just alive at the end of the movie.
That's
Took it
the
like a
moment
man.
where I was like, oh, this is not the movie I thought it was going to be.
But in a weird way, that was the least believable part of the entire
It
movie.
really
Yeah,
was.
that was it.
Was that she was fine at the end.
Well, yes, that part, yes. But also the way they filmed that, I don't understand how they could make that look real because they swung that log onto her head. And I was like, oh my God, they literally
Straight
just
in the
hit this
face.
actress with a log. Is she okay?
Straight in the face.
But yeah, that just speaks to the cinematography. Like they made that look believable. But yeah, so Josh has given his score 5 out of 5. What's up, Jason?
No.
What you
I was
got?
just going to say, well, you bring up a good point, though. I think this is the one caution that I would say about this movie is that the violence is pretty graphic. It's very stylized. It's certainly an artistic take on violence, but it's also very gruesome and bloody. So other than that, other than the violence, it's a very mild movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this probably doesn't make any sense, but other than the violence, I would say that it's good for the whole family. but except for the
And
violence, it's only for
the
adults.
third. It's really only the third act, like that final battle scene. That's really gory. Everything else is pretty tame.
Pretty tame.
Yeah, well, I still stand by what I say.
Yeah,
It's pretty graphic.
for sure. Yeah. Josh is giving it a 5. 5 what's?
Ooh. 5 R's out of 5.
Oh, that's okay. Jason, what are you giving it?
I know you guys are not going to understand why I'm 5 out of 5.
I was about to punch you through the screen. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. Christian?
Yeah, it's pretty unanimous.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I was going to flip this table if you did everything.
4.8.
So for the first time, with the 4 of us giving something a score, we're giving something 5s across the board. So if you can do the math, Jason. What is that?
So 5, let's see, times 4 is 20, divided by 4, that's going to be an average of 5. So 5.
So a 5 out of 5. This is our third ever 5 out of 5, and first with all 4 of us giving something a score. So
Excellent.
that speaks volumes
Yeah.
to the quality of this film. So, as a reminder, be on the lookout for our next episode where we'll be talking about Glass Onion, a Knives Out story.
Knives Out.
There are multiple knives. They are all out.
Knives out.
Not in the
And,
block, not in the wood block.
Yeah,
They are
that's,
out.
that's the only thing I have coming up. So,
Yeah.
be on the lookout for
Yeah. So that's tons of reasons to join us next time because we're getting nothing.
that. All right. Hopefully, there's no more sad Henry Cavill news. I don't think I could take any more of that.
Henry Cavill stubs his toe.
Yeah, I'm trying not to think of what could be worse. So let's just moving along.
I promise this is the last time we're going to be talking about Warner Brothers for like at least a week.
What could possibly happen?
Right.
Oh, they could do something.
Yeah. all right. It's like challenge accepted. Or what? Sorry, what is it now? Bet. Is that what they say now?
That
Bet.
was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, that was like a decade ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know anymore. Just
Literally, actually.
no cap. No.
That is actually a real thing. No
Okay.
cap.
That was also like 2 years ago.
Really?
For me, anyway.
What is it? What is it now? Oh, modern linguist.
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
All right.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Josh is already hanging up his headphones, so we're going to wrap this one up. People, do not forget to share this show with your friends and family and your exes. Maybe they're interested in this show. Also, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts.
And leave some comments.
Leave some comments.
Yeah, tell us how good we're
some
doing.
Reviews. Yeah. And Jason, if if there is something we could recommend to our listeners over this next week, maybe if they're feeling unwell, what's the prescription you would prescribe?
Well, during this holiday week, I highly recommend that you all stay merry and bright and warm. And in that meantime, eat, sleep, and nerd.